What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric. That's my co host, Will. And today we are going to be getting into some starts, sits, stashes, and quits for you guys for week 5. Get you guys prepared and how to set your lineups, who to get off your teams, who to make sure to add to your teams, all that good stuff. But before we get into that, Will, 1, how you doing? And 2, do you have anything to say to the people?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to talk about this. I feel like the NFL season's kind of flying by already. We're already in week 5. But with that being said, guys, make sure you guys are doing all that great YouTube stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you know when we drop our latest videos for our latest fantasy football content. Our watch hours are up there. We like to get subscribers up there with it as well. So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share with your friends as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's start. We're gonna go position by position here. We're gonna go with our starts first. Will, I will pass it to you. Who is your quarterback start for week 5?
So my quarterback start for week 5 is going to be Mr. Anthony Richardson against the Tennessee Titans. As we know, pretty weak passing defense over there in Tennessee, and Anthony Richardson has lately been getting everything done for the Colts. As of last week, he put up one of the best fantasy performances we've seen out of a quarterback, so awesome to see that. And I'm just more confident for him going forward. I'm liking the swagger with this offense. I like how this offense is not afraid to give him chances. And he also has Jonathan Taylor back this week as well. So that should help open up the offense a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what they can do with Jonathan Taylor involved.
Yeah, I think that's an easy smash. He looks like probably a top 5 quarterback going forward the rest of the way. I should have been even more bullish on him in the pre-draft process. But yeah, we were very excited, and I think our bet has paid off with Anthony Richardson.
Absolutely.
For me, I'm going slightly more under the radar here. I'm going to go with Josh Dobbs versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is 19th in the NFL against opposing quarterbacks. This is more so just based on the rest of the quarterback landscape for week 5. A bunch of the other kind of back-end QB1s and high-end QB2s are facing really difficult matchups. We're talking T-Law versus Buffalo, Stafford versus Philly, Purdy versus Dallas, Russ versus the Jets, Dak versus San Francisco. All those guys are kind of your streaming-ish quarterbacks. And so I think with Dobbs playing Cincinnati, I think he has a good opportunity to outperform those guys. Excluding week 1, he's been averaging 22 points per game. And within that sample, he's played against Dallas and San Francisco. So I think he, maybe not quite the real deal yet, but we're closing in on that type of territory with Josh Dobbs.
I absolutely agree. He's been playing well above expectations, well above what I expected this season. Absolutely. So I love that pick.
For sure. Let's go to the running back position. Who you got for us here?
Right here, I've got Breece Hall going up against Denver. Obviously, Denver let up a lot to Miami. And I'm not saying that, New York is going to be Miami. They're going to put up a lot of points on Denver. This should be a competitive game, but that is to say that Breece Hall should be able to find a lot of success in the backfield. We also got notice from Robert Saleh this week that he's no longer on a snap count, so he should be unleashed this week. And against this Denver Broncos defense, I would definitely want a piece of that. So I'm loving Breece Hall against Denver this week.
Yeah, I'm all in on that as well. Pretty excited to see what he can do with full slate of work for him. We'll see what Dalvin Cook's role gets relegated to. He's been incredibly inefficient.
Yeah, he's been really bad.
Very excited to see Breece Hall this week. For me, I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert versus the Giants. A little bit of a bounce back week here, hopefully, coming off of, I think, a 4-point game in half PPR where he kind of got supplanted by Devin Achane as the team's RB1. At least that's what it seems like. But the Giants are 23rd against opposing running backs, and they're bottom 3 in the league in points allowed, opposing team rushing percentage, and opposing team rushing touchdowns. So I just think that Miami's going to outclass the Giants. They're going to get up to an early, big lead, and then they're just going to run the ball to close this thing out. So I expect big games from both Achane and Mostert in Week 5.
Yeah, being honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised. This is kind of a repeat of, Miami versus Denver, just with New York instead. So I would not be shocked.
You call it for a 70 burger?
Hey, they might break the record this week. Who knows? New York has not looked good this season at all.
They've played terribly.
Yeah, they've been real bad. Taking a look at the wide receivers down here, I've got Romeo Doubs against Las Vegas. I just feel like, with this Packers offense, he has been the most targeted receiver in this offense. Of course, that's with Christian Watson, out and on a snap count last week, which he didn't really look great last week, to be honest with you. I'm not sure health-wise how he's doing, if he's still going to be on that snap count this week. We haven't been alerted otherwise, so I would assume so. And with that being said, I would say Romeo Doubs should also still continue to be the most targeted receiver in this offense and just continue to carry that workload against a really bad Las Vegas secondary.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Like you said, we'll have to see what the deal is with Christian Watson, whether he is still on a snap count. I believe he did find the end zone last week, but only on 2 receptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if he gets more involved. But either way, Romeo Doubs looks very involved so far this season, so I like that a lot. My start at wide receiver is going to be Michael Thomas versus New England. They're currently 18th against opposing wide receivers, so right around the middle of the league, but they just lost their top cornerback in Christian Gonzalez. He's going to be out for the year. Michael Thomas has been getting peppered with targets already this season, and like I said, now he gets to go against kind of a diminished New England secondary, and also with Derek Carr working through that shoulder injury that he played through last week, he's probably going to struggle again to push the ball down the field, and so I think that means even more short to intermediate volume for Michael Thomas.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I love that take.
That's a bet. Let's move on to the tight end position. Who you got for us there?
For the tight ends, I've got Tyler Higbee going up against Philadelphia. Philadelphia's actually given up, I believe, the 3rd most points to the tight ends this season so far, so they've struggled against the tight end position, and Tyler Higbee has been a featured part of this offense. Is that going to continue now that Cooper Kupp has returned this week? So they'll have Cooper, Puka, and Tyler Higbee to feed. That's going to stand to be seen, but the fact that Philly has sort of struggled against tight ends, Tyler Higbee should find a lot of open space out there and hopefully should still command at least some sort of target share and find some success this week against a team that is letting up a lot of points to the tight end position.
Yeah, I got my eyes on LA in general this week. It's going to be really interesting to see who kind of emerges, who goes to the back burner, if Puka can continue the hot streak that he's been on.
Yeah.
Against a tough defense in general against Philly. So yeah, very intrigued with that matchup. For me, my tight end start of the week is going to be Zach Ertz versus Cincinnati. I'm going to complete the stack with Josh Dobbs, like I said at the top. Cincinnati is 28th against opposing tight ends, so they are a very good matchup here. And Zach Ertz is currently 2nd in the NFL amongst tight ends in targets with 7.5 per game. I don't think there's much explanation more needed for a streaming tight end. If he's going to get the ball, I'm going to put him in my starting lineup. So I'm firing him up in week 5.
Absolutely. I love that take. The Arizona offense, like we talked about earlier, has looked a lot sharper than we expected coming into the season. And Zach Ertz, someone that we thought would be irrelevant coming into the season, has been very relevant in this offense. So I love that pick.
Yeah. The entirety of the Cardinals offense is vastly outperforming all of our expectations. So yeah, they've been quietly a decent kind of fantasy offense, fairly funneled group as well.
Absolutely.
Let's go to our sits now. Again, we're going to go position by position, and we'll start with the quarterbacks. Who you got for us, Will?
I've got Daniel Jones against Miami. Like I said, this Miami team has just been too good, and Daniel Jones has been too bad for me to trust him.
So bad.
It's just historically bad. Brian Dable looks disgusted out there. I've seen those videos. It's hilarious. But Daniel Jones, I don't trust him against this team. I don't trust him as a player right now. I need to see a lot more from Daniel Jones before I would throw him in any lineup. It's even hard for me to start him in Superflex and 2 QB leagues at this point.
Yeah, it's looking real ugly for the Giants in general, and especially Daniel Jones, so I can't agree more with you there. I got some spicy names on my sit list. I'm going to be in the hot seat this week, so y'all can come back to this video if I'm horribly wrong and leave it in the comments and let me know. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And I'm going to start it off hot by sitting Trevor Lawrence this week versus Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is the #1 ranked defense against opposing quarterbacks so far this season, so the matchup is certainly not it. Trevor Lawrence, I've talked about it throughout the first 4 weeks. I'm definitely a believer in his talent. He's been the 2nd highest graded PFF quarterback. His EPA per play has been pretty good. The film, to me, has shown that he's been good. It's just that his skill players are letting him down. And in a tough matchup, I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to continue to struggle, and we just haven't seen him produce for fantasy, even though I think he's looked good as an actual NFL quarterback. So I think that's going to continue here in Week 5.
About to say, I love that take, honestly. I think, like you said, it's a spicy take, but I think it's a smart take. He's been struggling this season, and we really want to see them turn it around. So I like that.
Yeah. Let's go to their running back position. Who do you have for us here?
So for the running backs, I've got Ramondre Stevenson going up against New Orleans, who up to this point in the season has not let up a touchdown to the running back position. I believe the most points they've let up this season so far is 13.9 for Derrick Henry. So they've been very stingy when it comes to the run. And when it comes to Ramondre Stevenson and his situation, something that we didn't really foresee, but we kind of thought could be a possibility, Zeke has been annoyingly involved on just about any type of play for this offense, whether it's a passing down, running down, doesn't matter what set they come out in, Zeke is liable to be on the field at any given point. So when you're given those kind of volume concerns with the fact that this team has been as good as they have against running backs, it's kind of just, yeah, I would sit Ramondre Stevenson. I wouldn't trust them, especially in this Patriots offense that does not look good at all.
Yeah, as sad as it is to say, I completely agree with you. And it's not just Zeke. Like, Ramondre has just been substantially worse as a player this year than he was last year. Way less efficient. He's not getting the receiving usage. It's just, yeah, he hasn't been the same player that he was last year. So I completely agree with the sit. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs versus Carolina, which seems weird because Carolina is 29th against opposing running backs, so it should be a good matchup. But I am more worried about game script in this one. This is something that we've talked about with the difference between Demont and Jahmyr Gibbs this year. In games where Detroit is close, keeping it competitive, or where they're playing from behind, I think those are the games you want to try to play Jahmyr Gibbs in. Unfortunately, Detroit looks really good, and so they're probably not going to be playing from behind very often. And I definitely don't expect them to be doing that this week against Carolina. They should probably dominate, and so I think that means, once again, it's going to be a Demont game.
Yeah, it's going to be a David Montgomery 2-touchdown. It's going to be a 28 carry, 102 yard, 2-touchdown game for David Montgomery.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, that's what I see happening as well.
So I 100% agree there. It's just the game scripts don't fit the type of player that Jahmyr Gibbs and the offense that they want to run in Detroit, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position. Who do you have for us this week?
I've got Drake London going up against the Houston Texans, which sounds weird, but Houston, it's a weird statistic, but Houston has only let up one touchdown to opposing wide receivers this season.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy stat. Obviously, they dominated against the Steelers last week, but Kenny Pickett's barely a quarterback, so who knows what happened with that. Christian Kirk was the only wide receiver to find the end zone against Jacksonville, I believe. The week before, Kalen Granson, tight end for Indianapolis, scored, and the week prior, no receivers scored. No receiving touchdowns were scored at all. So it's tough if this team is, succeeding in the fact that maybe teams don't have to throw the ball against them, but they're also winning games. So maybe this is something we can trust this year. I'm not sure. It's a strange one.
Yeah. It is very strange. You talked about this a little bit before we hopped on air, and I wasn't sure how to explain it because last year it was just they were so bad against the run and so bad offensively that you could just run the ball on them all day and still win the game. But like you said, they're winning games. They're passing it effectively. CJ Stroud looks good. So yeah, are they just good against the pass, like for real this time?
I think they might be. It might be for realsies this time. So that's why this week I'm going with the safe bet just because Drake London does play for the Falcons and they hate throwing the ball. So I feel like if you combine those two together, sit Drake London is what that equals. So that's where I'm at on that.
I'm with you. But I don't know if I'm even with myself with my wide receiver sit this week. It scares me so much. And honestly, I feel like I'm probably going to put the anti-curse on him, do the little reverse jinx, and he's going to go off. So anybody that has him, probably put him in your starting lineup. Jalen Waddle versus the New York Giants.
Yeah.
It's been bad. It's been bad. It's clearly the Tyreek show. We've talked about this week in and week out, and it's scraps for the rest of the Miami offense. Jalen Waddle hasn't scored a touchdown. He hasn't gotten a lot of volume. So
No,
And also, we talked about it with Raheem Mostert as a start. They're probably going to have to run the ball a ton, or not have to, but they're going to want to close the game out. So I think there's decent reasoning to start or to sit Jalen Waddle. It's just any given week could be his week.
I like that take. I mean, it's like you said, it's been the Tua and Tyreek show when it comes to throwing the ball, and they've been so effective running the ball with two different running backs. It's tough. It's tough to find room for Waddle in there. But like you said, he's liable to pop off any week. So this take could age poorly, but I like the logic behind it. I love where you're coming from there because it makes a lot of sense. And like you said, he's been struggling, so the trend might continue.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I'm still very nervous. We'll see. We'll see. Let's move on to tight end. Who you have for us here?
For tight end, I have Kittle going against Dallas, which I have a lot of stats like this week, but Dallas has only let up one touchdown to tight ends in the last 21 games. So they've been
21 games
in the last 21 games.
Damn.
Dating back to last season. So it's tough to say that they're going to start now. Of course, it's George Kittle. He is different, so maybe he can find some success, but that's a pretty big sample size to stare at and kind of deny. So, and the fact that this Dallas defense has looked as good as they have this year, I think that trend's going to continue for a little while.
Yeah, that's a bomb stat. I did not realize it had been that long. Very cool to hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you there on Kittle. For me, it's going to be Hunter Henry versus New Orleans. I understand Hunter Henry is the tight end 5 on the season. I understand the tight end landscape is barren. It looks terrible. And so you might not have another option. But Demario Davis is the tight end killer.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we have to say it? Over and over and over again. New Orleans is 4th against opposing tight ends. Demario Davis is an absolute beast against tight ends. New Orleans is where tight ends go to die. And so I'm telling you, please do not start Hunter Henry this week.
Yeah, we'll say it each and every week that we got to stop starting tight ends against New Orleans. It's not going to work as long as Demario Davis is there.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for our starts and sits. Let's move on to our stashes and quits. Who do you have as your stash moving forward going into week 5?
So my stash for this week, I have Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals. Some people may already have them on their roster so far. I haven't checked to see what the numbers are looking like. But he's somebody that I don't quite trust the production yet because obviously, the week prior to this one, it was great success off of low volume. This week he finally did get the volume. So we're going to see if that continues and he keeps finding that success with that volume. But going forward, I like Michael Wilson. I like the potential, and we liked him as a prospect in the pre-draft process as well. So going forward, I like Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I like that take a lot. He's been incredibly involved, like you mentioned, so far. It's just been... because he's a rookie, I think the targets are going to come. They're going to increase, and especially after last week's performance, I think that's going to be the case. So I like Michael Wilson. My stash for week 5 is going to be why can't I say his name? Wan'Dale Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back off of the ACL tear in week 3 versus San Francisco, he immediately garnered 5 targets and 4 receptions on very limited snaps. I think his targets per route run rate was 50% that game or something. Like half the snaps that he played, he was targeted on. So that was pretty crazy. And then in the Seattle game that just went down, even in a game where they struggled tremendously, again, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 40 yards. So obviously this offense is having a tough time getting anything going, but I just think the volume is going to be there. And he could end up being kind of a breakout player down the stretch.
Absolutely agree with that. I love Wan'Dale Robinson. Glad to see him back healthy this year too. So glad to see him out there back and performing.
Absolutely. All right, and let's move on to our last category here, the quits. Who do you hate? Who do you need off your team? Who are you shipping to the middle of nowhere?
So somebody I hate on my team is Dalvin Cook. I don't want any parts of Dalvin Cook right now. I think it's going to be the Breece Hall show going forward. As we said earlier, he's been horribly inefficient. I don't see that fixing itself anytime soon, so Dalvin Cook is cooked to me. And someone I'm starting to panic with, I'm not dropping him from my roster, but I'm considering it. It's Jahan Dotson of the Commanders, somebody who we were hoping would be more of a breakout candidate this year. It's seeming as if there was more smoke than fire. The team just hasn't really been featuring him a whole lot. Obviously, he had that clutch moment the week prior, but even just last night against the Bears, not heavily featured in a game where they were behind and struggling and had to throw the ball more. So not great outlooks for Jahan Dotson in that offense, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish I had it pulled up. You just reminded me talking about how much they were throwing the ball. I saw somebody tweeted a stat that like I think midway through the second quarter, Washington didn't run the ball again. They passed the ball every single snap from like midway through the second quarter to the end of the game. And whatever the amount of snaps that was, it set the record, the NFL record for most passing plays in a row. And so for that to have happened and Jahan still not to be involved, that's really, really concerning. So I fully understand why you would have him, at least in the panic section of our quits segment.
Absolutely. I didn't even know that. That makes it even worse in context. So yeah, that's crazy.
For me, my quit, it might seem like an oxymoron after putting Wan'Dale in the stashes, but I still have some belief that he can get it done. Regardless, it's going to be Daniel Jones. Get him out of here. Ship him off to the middle of the ocean. I don't want to see him again. We knew he was buns. We knew he was bad. He's still got the huge extension. We talked about it. What are we doing, man? Like, I had faith in the coaching staff. I had faith in Daboll that, you know, they would at least be a creative offense and try to, you know, emphasize the best traits of Daniel Jones. But it's all coming apart. It's all falling apart at the seams right now. Like you said, we've seen Daboll with the frustration, the disgust on the sidelines from what he's seeing out of Daniel Jones's play right now. He's just terrible, and I don't think he's going to improve.
Yeah, they'd have been better off giving Saquon 4 years, 160 at this point, to be honest.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts. Yo, put him in there as Wildcat quarterback and see what happens.
Honestly, the team might look a little bit better. Because I don't know. I don't know what Daniel Jones out there looking at.
Real, though.
Ooh, question. Since we've been ragging on the New York offense so much, just real quick for the audience. Yes. Darren Waller, how do you feel about him? What's your opinion? Because he's been a topic of discussion for the last couple weeks.
I got this one wrong. I got it wrong. I was so in on Darren Waller. If there was going to be a week, it was going to be this week versus Seattle, I thought. I think there's one more chance, one more opportunity this upcoming week in week 5 versus Miami. They've also been bad against tight ends, and they've been scoring so much that opposing teams have also been scoring a lot. So this is, I think, the last opportunity. If he doesn't perform this week, 1, the matchups get worse, and 2, I just don't believe anymore. This year, I guess, was the year of the late round tight end. Can you even say that, or is it every year is the year of Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, and that's it?
I think, yeah, honestly. And then this year was the year taking a shot on the rookies and seeing what you could get, and
True.
It's been pretty successful, honestly. Because these middle of the pack, I don't know, man. Darren Waller, like you said, he had us all fooled. They had us all fooled, and it hurts.
Hurts bad. I drafted him way too early. It sucks.
Everybody did, man. Everybody did. But
that's all right.
That's going to round out our video, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry to end it on such a low note. Darren Waller, man, got us in our feels.
No, dude, it's good. It's all good. But yeah, like you said, that'll round us out this week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys start some of the people we recommended. If you don't want to sit the guys that I recommended, I completely understand. It might be a better idea to start them anyway. But come back to this video after this week. Let us know what happened. Hit us in the comments. We will respond to everything. But yeah, like we said at the top, we have a ton of watch hours right now. We're trying to grow as a channel. So if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. It's free and easy to do for you guys, and it helps us out more than you even realize. While you're there, if you could hit the like button, if you could hit the notification bell, like I said, leave a comment. All that good stuff helps us out a ton, and we would be more than happy to engage with you. So that's all I got. Will, you got anything left to say to the people before we head out?
Yeah, just make sure you guys check out those links down in the description below for all of our partners and our sponsors over at Dynasty Owner, over at the League Winners, over at Sleeper, Underdog Fantasy, and at Do Numbers for all of your merch and sort of clothing needs, stuff like that. So check out all those links down below. And also, if you want to join our Discord, be a part of the community, you can join that as well. We got a great group of people always talking fantasy football. It's getting bigger and bigger, and we'd like you to join it. So if that's the case and that's something you're interested in, check that out down below in the description. But if you guys have made it this far into the video, as always, we love you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.